This is macOS Ken.
Revisiting an Apple hardware rumor, iOS 26 adoption is actually healthy, it turns out. And iWork no more. It's not what it sounds like. It is Monday, the 16th of February, 2026. By the way, I'm sorry. I said on Friday the 13th I was a guy with a butcher knife. I meant a machete. Anyway, I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by NordLayer. Secure your network, block threats to your business, and save with offer code macOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Clean My Mac, cleaning Macs since 2008. There's a pretty good chance your Mac needs cleaning. Not because of anything you've done, it's just something that happens. Our Macs get filled with files, cookies, bits left over from installing applications. Apps hide parts and pieces we don't even know how or where to find. Let Clean My Mac take care of it. It starts by cleaning your Mac, getting rid of unneeded system files, hidden clutter, broken downloads, and other cruft. But it does more. Clean My Mac is a suite of tools meant to optimize performance, scan for threats and vulnerabilities, update the apps you use, and ditch the apps you do not. Find out how clean your Mac can be with a free trial. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/macOSKen. Make macOS Ken all one word and all caps in both cases. That way they know where you heard about it and you get the discount. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/macOSKen. Again, macOS Ken is all caps, both places. Use code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/macOSKen. If it is Monday, it must be time to tell you what Mark Gurman said on Sunday. Apple Insider has written up stuff from the Bloomberg Scribes Power On newsletter. Seems to have been all about the anticipated low-cost MacBook, which will apparently be all about color. This is the less expensive laptop that's been rumored for a while now. The one that's expected to be powered by an iPhone-grade processor, have a 13-inch display, and sail in for somewhere near the $700 range. I might want to call it the Quinn Martin edition, because it looks like it's going to come in color. According to Apple Insider, Gurman claims that Apple will be going with playful colors. While it will be aimed at enterprise users as well, this seems to be a play to maximize sales with students. Think 24-inch iMac, but smaller and portable. Colors that have been tested are said to include light yellow, light green, blue, pink, classic silver, and dark gray. How are we counting silver in there? I mean, if there's one color Apple seems to have nailed, it's silver. If all this sounds familiar, it's not just ringing the old iMac bell. Apple Insider says TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo predicted low-cost MacBooks in a range of colors in June of 2025. Last summer, Young MC was calling for laptops in colors including blue, pink, yellow, and hey, this is weird, silver. You know, I hear orange is popular these days. Maybe they should look into that. Assuming these things are coming out, which everybody seems to be doing, the next question is when. March is apparently Gurman's expectation. That'll either be preceded by the anticipated iPhone 17e or released simultaneously, according to another piece from Apple Insider. You know the adage that goes something like, A lie makes its way halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its boots. Yeah, same with the headline-grabbing mistake. We all knew in early January that the stat-counting firm StatCounter had to be wrong when it said that iOS 26 was only in use by about 16% of iPhones out there. That was while use of iOS 18 was said to be over 60%. We all knew that had to be incorrect, but it was picked up and run with. Made much less of a splash a few weeks later when StatCounter came out and said, well, they didn't say they got it wrong exactly. What they found was that iOS 26 was sort of disguising itself to make digital fingerprinting more difficult. It was a user privacy play on the part of Apple. Taking that into account, StatCounter reworked its numbers, putting actual iOS 26 use at between 52 and 53%. Rival tracker Telemetry Deck saw similar numbers, putting end of January iOS 26 adoption at just under 55%. Now, the whole time, a lot of us wish that Apple would just come out with adoption numbers of its own. Well, guess what it's done? Cult of Mac ran a piece on Saturday that had the Cupertino company saying adoption of iOS 26 something stands at 74% on devices introduced in the last 4 years. That is a typical rate for this point in the release cycle, according to the cult. Pan out to all iPhones doing transactions in the App Store, and the number stands at 66%. What I find interesting is the comparatively low rate of adoption for iPad OS 26. Apple's got that at 66% for devices released in the last 4 years and 57% for all iPads transacting. So what's that about? Differences in the way people use iPad? Worries over announced changes? A liquid glass allergy, perhaps? I'm not saying it's a big deal. Certainly nobody else is making a big deal of it. Anyway, disastrous iOS 26 adoption isn't actually disastrous. Expect that to make headlines in my imagination. Congratulations, Indonesia. You can now start giving Apple more money every month. Mac Rumors says Apple on Friday launched AppleCare Plus coverage for the country. And that is to say, people there can now buy AppleCare Plus, Quoted in the release was Kyan Drance, Apple VP Worldwide iPhone Product Marketing, who said to have said, AppleCare brings peace of mind and mind to our customers, with comprehensive protection for their products and support from Apple experts. Today's launch is part of our ongoing commitment to expand access to AppleCare coverage and deliver the best experience for our customers around the world. And if we just happen to get a bit more money every month for it, well, that's fine. I might have added that last part. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, NordLayer, a toggle-ready network security platform built for today's business. By which I mean your business. NordLayer combines VPN, access control, and threat protection in one easy-to-use platform. You don't need a lot of new hardware for it either. It is layers of security added to what you've already got, whether that's Windows, Mac, Linux, or a mix. And yes, it protects mobile devices as well. They partnered with CrowdStrike to bring Falcon endpoint protection to small and mid-sized businesses. That is your business getting enterprise-grade security that, yes, is still simple to deploy and manage. From small shops to bigger teams, you can add users, features, or servers in just a few clicks, starting as low as $8 per user per month, with special rates for teams with 100 seats or more. Quick deployment, step-by-step onboarding, 24/7 support. NordLayer stands ready to guard your business. And they've got an exclusive offer for you. Get up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans plus 10% on top with offer code MacOSCAN-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSCAN. Try it risk-free with their 14-day money-back guarantee. NordLayer, toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code MacOSCAN-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSCAN. News for a very few of you, I'm guessing. Mac Rumor says Apple is rebranding an internal sales app used by its sellers and authorized resellers. Sales Coach for iPhone and iPad will turn up as an update to Apple's existing Seed app. Short for Sales Enablement, Education, and Development, the Seed app is basically a source for sales info delivered on Apple's phone or tablet. People said to know things about things tell Mac Rumors that the Sales Coach app will continue to provide sales tips and training resources to Apple Store and Apple-authorized reseller employees around the world. That said, there are a couple of notable changes said to be on the way. First, Sales Coach will be soaked in liquid glass, and second, it'll eventually get an AI chatbot that can give users with access to sales tips and product information. Sales Coach is expected to go live next Monday, the 23rd of February, according to Mac Rumors, rumor mongers. Speaking of branding, or rebranding, I guess, a headline from Mac Rumors posed a question late last week. Is Apple phasing out the iWork brand? That prompted a question in my mind. Hadn't they done that already? I honestly thought they had when they stopped offering Pages, Numbers, and Keynote as a set. I mean, yeah, you can still get them, but if you want one, you don't have to get them all. The mark has apparently been living on Apple's website, though. At least it was until last week. According to Mac Rumors, Apple on Friday removed the iWork section on its website. The piece says the iWork page that Apple removed was dedicated solely to Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, featuring information on each app along with a link. Mac Rumor says the old iWork URL now redirects to a more generic Apps page that features Creator Studio, Apple Arcade, Apple Invites, Image Playground, and other Apple applications. While there is a Smarter Workflows section featuring Pages, Numbers, Keynote, and Freeform, Mac Rumor says nowhere on the page is iWork mentioned. That likely brings to an end over 20 years of branding. While Keynote hit in 2003 and Pages followed in 2004, the piece says the two were bundled for the first time a year later as iWork 05. And finally today, F1 races are racing toward Apple TV, and Apple really doesn't want you to forget that. 9 to 5 Mac says Apple's been working on promos with various teams in a Shot on iPhone campaign. Teams spotted by the site include Red Bull and F1 newcomer Cadillac. The piece says it's not clear whether these are individual deals Apple's cut with the teams. It's at least as possible that they're part of an overall promotional push between Apple and Formula One. We're about 3 weeks away from the first race weekend. That'll center around Sunday, the 7th of March, after which we can stop talking about this like it's a new thing. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Clean My Mac. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSCAN20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSCAN. This show is also sponsored by NordLayer, toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code MacOSCAN-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSCAN. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOS Ken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.